Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. For the sake of this video, we're going to be discussing a film that is not only celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, but it's also an Oscar-winning film. I'm doing this video on the week of the 90th Oscar Awards, or sort of say the 90th annual Donald Trump Awards show. This is what it should be named. And during the movie, you can say earlier, the celebrating its 25th anniversary, the 1993 film The Fugitive, starring Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. Of course, the reason why it's an Oscar-winning film is because Tommy Lee Jones won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role in this film. Of course, The Fugitive was also based on a very popular 1960s television show of the same name. Of course, the incident in The Fugitive is also based on real life. Also, knowing the movie, well, I think the movie is more loosely related to the actual event, but the television show is more as I understand, is more accurate. Even though the television show is before my time, which of course is the real life story of Dr. Richard Kimball, who was falsely accused of killing his wife, and he was unjustly convicted of it, and he broke out of jail, or he escaped custody, and he was running for I think about 5 years until he eventually cleared his name, and he claimed that his wife was killed by a one-armed man. And of course, the television show, Richard Kimball tracked down the one-armed man, and the one-armed man dies, and on the television show. This time in the movie, he does not die in the end of the movie, the one-armed man, but he does get captured, and of course, by the end of the film, Richard Kimball was played by Harrison Ford in the film. Eventually it wasn't clear if he got off at the end of the film, but the people who were responsible for killing his wife were arrested by the end of the movie version. Of course, I focus on the movie version, and let me tell you, this was a great thrill ride from beginning to end, and it was really mostly Tommy Lee Jones chasing down Harrison Ford. Of course, like I said earlier, Harrison Ford does play Richard Kimball, who, for the first part of the film, was wearing a really long beard. I mean, too long for somebody who's supposed to be a doctor. And he comes home from a charity function. He finds out that somebody killed his wife, and the guy who did it was still in the house, and he was a one-armed guy. So when the killer knocked out Richard Kimball, and of course he was left in the house, and the cops showed up, and they believed that Kimball did it. Simply because of the evidence that, of course, actually the husband usually, 9 times out of 10, usually is the one who kills the wife, and on the 911 call, when the wife actually does call 911. She was calling out Richard, which of course was just Dr. Kimball's first name. So of course they all assume, because you know what happens when you assume that Richard Kimball killed his wife. Of course, you had a trial, and you had him convicted and sent to the electric chair or the gas chamber in Illinois. So of course, he gets transferred to the state prison, and on the way there, the bus that he was on gets into an accident with a train. The train gets stuck on the track, and they had a little bit of a shootout on the bus, which of course delays everything. And then here comes the train and runs over the bus, and Richard Kimball survives that and runs. And of course, it's Tommy Lee Jones, who character plays a U.S. Marshal, who of course hunts down guys or women, the case may be, who escape from jail or from custody, because he's part of the U.S. Marshal Service, and they do that work. And so of course, for the rest of the movie, Tommy Lee Jones is chasing down Richard Kimball, or Harrison Ford, through the whole film. Of course, the most iconic scene in this film was when Tommy Lee Jones tracks down Harrison Ford and they're in a tunnel on a viaduct, and actually the war is rushing by and their feet and stuff. And Harrison Ford has out getting Tommy Lee Jones' gun. He goes, "I did not kill my wife." Because Tommy Lee Jones says, "I don't care." And of course, that's when Harrison Ford decides to do like a James Bond like leap out into the water. Of course, he survives that. I mean, he's like Superman. He's like James Bond. He survives everything in this thing. But Harrison Ford is like an American James Bond because he's an American superhero. He does all these crazy, or in movies that has all these stunts with him in it. Actually, it was not really him. It's stuntmen who actually do the stunts. Does all these crazy stunts and has him living, just like James Bond does in the movies. And of course, he goes back, ends up going back, or Harrison Ford, Richard Kimball actually goes back to Chicago, track down who did it. And it had to be a crazy Collie who runs who is an expert or a medical expert for this pharmaceutical company who designs this drug and knows this drug is no good, and Kimball knows that. And of course, he was going to rat. The reason why his wife was killed, or Kimball's wife was killed in the film, was because Richard Kimball knew that this drug, that this other doctor in this drug company, who works for, or is a consultant for a drug company, I should say, knows this drug is no good, and Kimball was going to spill the beans, or allegedly spill the beans on this drug. So this other doctor decided to send a couple of goons to his house, but Richard Kimball was not there. His wife was there, so his wife gets killed, and of course they try and get. As soon as they found out that Kimball was out or escaped from custody, they were going to get him and finish the job. So that's what the premise of the movie. Instead of killing Richard Kimball, they killed his wife instead, and he used this one lone guy as a stooge to kill Kimball, but got his wife instead. So that's why the wife was killed. It was an accident. It's supposed to be Richard Kimball, not the wife. Of course, Tommy Lee Jones eventually figures this out. Even though his job was just to track down fugitives, but he got the information from Harrison Ford and from other people saying, "Hey, this is why his wife was killed." And he said, "Look, I don't care what the circumstances are. My job is to get him back into custody. Is to capture him and get him back into custody." And meanwhile, he finally gets the proof, and then of course at the end of the movie, when Harrison Ford does surrender himself at the end of the film to Tommy Lee Jones' custody, and of course they're in the car, and Tommy Lee Jones takes out the handcuffs, and Harrison Ford says, "Wait a minute, I thought you said you didn't care." And he says, "Well, don't let the other people know." And that's pretty much how the movie ends. And believe it or not, Tommy Lee Jones was so good in this role. Like I said earlier, he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and they gave him, like a few years later, they made a second movie with almost the exact same premise called U.S. Marshals, which didn't do so well. But they brought Tommy Lee Jones' character back and some of his team, U.S. Marshal team, to track another fugitive who escaped custody, who was wrongly convicted of murder. I mean, it's the same premise as the fugitive, but I figured since he won an Academy Award to capitalize on Tommy Lee Jones made an Academy Award for this role, they made another movie, but it was the same premise. But The Fugitive is definitely worth seeing, especially if you have to be a Harrison Ford fan, which I am. And I think this was the best performance that Tommy Lee Jones really gave. Because the next movie he did The Client, which I think I reviewed that one. and people says, "Oh, this is a joke." He went from being an Academy Award-winning role to this role, and then of course after that he did Batman Forever, which he played Two-Face. He was the first actor to actually play Two-Face in a live-action film, not counting the Batman and Robin, not the Batman animated series from the '90s. But he was the first live actor to play that part, and so it was just a joke character. But Tommy Lee Jones gave a great performance. So did Harrison Ford, and so did Daniel Radcliffe, I think is the actor's name, who was in Matlock at the time. He did this role plus the sequel. But this movie is really a taut thriller, and that's what it is. It was a damn good movie. And like I said earlier, I always like Harrison Ford's films anyway, because his birthday is the day before mine, so we're both cancers. Well, and I just enjoy every single one of his roles, and this one was a damn good movie, and one of the few movies that's based on a television show that actually was fairly successful, and got rave reviews as well. Not just at the time, but also other YouTube critics as well. So that's my review of the movie The Fugitive. Please click on the video, please rate it, feel free to comment on it, please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my videos on my YouTube channel at rowdyc.com, that's all with WDY, and then at C.com. On the homepage of the Rowdy Reviewer, Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.